Ladies and gentlemen, hit subscribe to this channel right now. This is huge. The district attorney at Fulton County admits to essentially the conflicts of interest. She admits to the relationship or the affair with another prosecutor. This is huge. This completely dismantles the case. It is a clear conflict of interest. Being part of the Democratic Party in the manner that these prosecutors are a part of the Democratic Party is also a clear conflict of interest. If you had Republican prosecutors in red cities or in red states going after Biden or Hillary or anyone else, they would say, oh my God, this is the Republicans going after their direct political rivals. If Trump's Department of Justice was presiding over this, they would say that Trump is going after his direct political rivals. But hit subscribe to this channel. Your super chat is greatly appreciated. To the super chat, thank you so very much. You help me do these live streams. I'll have a live stream tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to be part of a newsletter or notification of future live streams, it's contactgoodman88@gmail.com. That you can see that on the profile of this YouTube channel. That's for if you want to be part of a newsletter or a notification of these live streams or uploads. Contactgoodman88@gmail.com. Trump has won the Georgia trial. Okay? Hit subscribe to my super chat. Thank you again. He's already won the Georgia trial. I'll get to that in a second. Politically, he's won. Because they're not going to get done until 2025. And already you have a prosecutor with clear conflicts of interest going after Trump. This is huge. This is absolutely enormous. And then you have the Florida case with classified data. That's not going to be done until 2025 or beyond. He was a president with the power to declassify. The precedent was apparently the precedent was that you can have private servers with top secret intelligence on them as a Secretary of State. Gloria, hello. Hello, everybody. Susie, hello. Paul, hello. So this is what they tried to do was prevent him from victory in 24. It's not working, okay? It's not working. This is a catastrophe for the Democratic Party, okay? Christine Chong, thank you. Thank you, Christine. Thank you so very, very much. Christine, thank you so much. To my super chat, thank you again. Christine, thank you so very much. I hope you're having a lovely Friday. Have a great weekend. And this is amazing news. Georgia, there are conflicts of interest. There are improper relationships, conflicts of interest we can get to. The prosecutor, the district attorney admits now this is the first admission that there was an affair or a conflict of interest, okay? A lot of these things take place. You had former bureau officials with the same type of situation, okay? She has been also the district attorney subpoenaed by Congress and by the Georgia Senate. Not the subpoena by the Georgia Senate, but the Georgia Senate is now investigating as well, okay? So you have Jim Jordan in the House Judiciary. I believe you have James Comer in House Oversight as well, because this state is trying to prosecute Trump under state laws in concert with federal laws. The FEC did not charge Trump, so that's the huge issue. Okay. The Florida case is classified data. The judge is a million times better than the other judges. Born to raise hogs, thank you! This is huge, ladies and gentlemen. This is huge. Born to raise hogs, thank you again. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate that. Christine, Born to Raise Hogs, everybody here to my super chat. Thank you so, so much. You help me do these live streams. So the Georgia case, Born to Raise Hogs, and everyone here, Christine, the Georgia case is pretty much done. Trump will win Georgia and he'll win Arizona. And he'll win all the traditionally red states, and he'll win very likely Michigan, at least Michigan, possibly Pennsylvania. He's won the Electoral College. He's won the Electoral College. He has 270. He has 280. Christine and Born to Raise Hogs and everybody here, Gloria, everyone here, Paul, everyone here. He has 280 electoral votes plus. If he gets Arizona, Georgia, and one of Michigan, Pennsylvania, or Wisconsin or Minnesota. He just needs one. He just needs one of those. So he probably won't get Minnesota, but he could very well get Michigan. He's up now, so we can only imagine. And Pennsylvania, if you see the political evolution of John Fetterman, he could very well win Pennsylvania. And so the Georgia case is done. The Florida case is done. Democrats had private servers with top secret intel on them. They use a president with the power to declassify. So now they pretend they care about classified data. It's complete and utter nonsense. They don't care at all. The D.C. case, that could go past 25 or past 24. If it goes past November, he ends the special counsel as president. And that also is pretty much done because the Supreme Court is going to weigh in on immunity. He's a president, and he had the right and the authority and the power to perform a speech without liability pertaining to the speech. And nobody has ever accused Trump of being liable. They never claimed that a specific criminal act was due to the speech. So that's number one. Okay, number two, the Supreme Court didn't even give Jack Smith they didn't even entertain the notion that a special counsel could indict a former president for a speech. So those three, ladies and gentlemen, Christine and everyone here in Born to Raise Hogs and everyone here to my super chat, thank you so much. Those three cases will not lead to Trump being a convicted felon. Okay, those three cases will not lead to Trump being a convicted felon. Okay, the nonsense, thank you, Mark, thank you. The nonsense is he will unfortunately get convicted in New York for the hush money payment, but that's not going to work out. That's not going to work out because the FEC didn't find Trump. They fined Clinton and the DNC. Mark, thank you again. Born to Raise Hogs, Christine, to my super chat, thank you so much. So he'll probably get convicted. He'll get convicted in one out of the four cases, but it's not going to work out. This is interesting. Oh, what a tangled web we weave when we something to deceive. Okay. What is it? Who can give me the exact phrase or the saying? All right. So here you have the district attorney. Here you have the district attorney. Congress is now asking for a whole bunch of information because when you try to get Trump on FEC statutes, that's within the federal government's domain. Okay? When you're trying to get Trump on federal statutes, then you've opened up the floodgates in terms of investigation by the federal government. So now all these skeletons and this dirty laundry is being aired out. House Judiciary Committee Jim Jordan has subpoenaed District Attorney of Fulton County demanding documents from her office following allegations that Willis fired a person who blew the whistle and tried to stop a top campaign aide from misusing federal funds. So this is yet another issue. The federal funds to even, they're using federal funds for this, which is very interesting to me, which is very bizarre to me. That is very bizarre. The subpoena obtained by NBC is part of a broader probe by Jim Jordan and House Republicans to whether the attorney used federal funds in conducting a more than 2-year investigation. A former president who was indicted in Fulton County last year on charges of attempted to overturning Trump has pleaded not guilty. He didn't do anything of the sort. And it's only helping his poll numbers in Georgia. When we first tried to deceive, thank you. When we practice, oh, what a wicked web we weave. When we first tried to deceive. So now you have campaign funds. Jordan's push for documents follows allegations the district attorney's office retaliated against an employee who tried to stop what she said was a misuse of Justice Department grant funding by a top Willis campaign aide. The former employee in the district attorney's office told Willis that she was demoted and warned by the campaign aide after she warned Willis's campaign aide against misusing federal grant funding earmarked for, a youth gang prevention effort, according to a recording of the call report. Wow. 2 months later, the employee was terminated and escorted out of her office by 7 armed investigators. Wow. This is completely and utterly falling apart. And you're going to see people try to reverse their plea deals. So, this is a complete and utter debacle, an absolute unmitigated disaster for Democrats in Georgia and elsewhere, because this was the case that really was the most difficult for Trump. This was the most difficult case for Trump because it was so sprawling. Then you have Fulton County DA admits relationship. So again, now you have all the skeletons and dirty laundry aired now. Nobody would have known any of this had they not tried to go after and torment Trump. All the relationships and affairs and personal relationships, nobody would have known anything. Nobody would have known anything. Nobody would have known anything, ladies and gentlemen, had they simply, used grant money for, for programs that the DBK, hello, Paul, hello. Nobody would have known anything had they not tried to go after Trump. Irma, hello. See, I don't understand this. If you don't live, and this is another, I'm going to butcher also this one. If you live in glass houses, don't throw stones. Why are you throwing stones if you live in glass houses? So, apparently the attorney that she hired, she was having a romantic relationship with. But then there are issues. I don't think you can go after a former president or anyone and have these types of conflicts of interest. Justice is not blind in this case, okay? So, apparently, The allegations are that the attorney that she hired, who had the romantic relationship, um, um, was not did not have the legal qualification, or I was not an expert on RICO charges. So, okay. So Steve Sadal, lead counsel for Trump in the Georgia case, said in a statement Friday the Fulton County DA's response asks the court to turn a blind eye to her alleged personal and financial misconduct, adding she believes the sole objective to avoid. Okay, so that's a big problem, ladies and gentlemen. A huge, huge problem. Brad, hello. Just for the censors. Just for the censors. I apologize. DVK, just for the censors. So here's the question. Can they prosecute a former president finding out can they prosecute can they prosecute a former president, ladies and gentlemen, with these conflicts of interest? Obviously not. And you have Trump still up 2 points, and the only reason he's not up 4 points is because this absurd poll that says Biden is up 6 points. There's nowhere in the universe, no problem, my friend, no problem. There's nowhere in the universe that says that Biden is up by 6 points. Is Biden up 6 points? No problem, sir, no problem. Is Biden up 6 points? I mean, do you think Biden is up 6 points? Do you think in what world, if Biden is up, what is he up? Is Biden possibly up? Here's a poll, ladies and gentlemen. Is Biden possibly up in the U.S. over Trump? It's not even possible. I mean, is that even possible? I'm talking about 0.5 points. We have Americans whose lives have been lost, and there's not even, I'm not talking about, I think there should be a measured military response. I'm not a pacifist. I'm anti-war, but I'm not a pacifist. You take the lives of 3 Americans, okay? By the way, I believe they're from Georgia. You take the lives of 3 Americans, there should be a measured, strategic military response. Doesn't mean you send Americans off to never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts. There should be some response. At least a military or economic response. There's zero. There's nothing. There is no strategy, nothing in response to what took place. No strategy, nothing. And I mean, it's like, in terms of foreign policy, Biden is absolutely horrible. This was not even going to be done before 2025 anyway. This is an article just the other day. Or no, a couple weeks ago. This was not even going to be done. This was not even going to be done. This was not even going to be done in 24. Okay? This was not even going to be done in 24. So, I mean, this is an unmitigated disaster for Democrats. Now, instead of focusing on Trump's alleged criminal conduct, you're talking about possible conflicts of interest and very possibly criminal conduct or unethical conduct in terms of federal funds. Because you get Congress involved, the House Judiciary Committee is now involved. And if they don't abide by a subpoena, then there are the same legal ramifications. So you have a situation, ladies and gentlemen, where Democrats thought that indicting Trump in a key state, a red state, would really tank his campaign. They thought that. It would really tank his campaign. They wanted to destroy Trump. Every time they do that, it doesn't work out. None of it works out. Okay? The average American cares about the economy and foreign policy. That's it. They don't care about Trump's personality. They don't care about the apoplectic and hysterical allegations from the morally superior, wonderful Democrats against Trump. They care about economy and foreign policy. The economy is teetering on the brink of a terrible, terrible, terrible stock market crash. So, and then you have interest rates very high. You have a lot of problems. You have a lot of problems with, I mean, the catalyst could be a number of things. Okay, crypto could be the catalyst for a terrible market crash. So, I mean, Biden is alongside George W. Bush, and you can put Jimmy Carter in there as well, one of the worst presidents we've ever had. Every single attempt by media, this is a machine. Then now they're saying that the independents are going to move. They're already setting up the wonderful democracy in action. They're saying, well, independents will move away from Trump if he's convicted. No, they won't. They're independent for a reason. They're not going to look at these absurd allegations against him throughout the country and say, oh, wow, he's a real criminal. They can't even, you think the average person in this country or any country can explain to you the hush money, the criminal hush money trial? They don't know what it is. These are misdemeanors, by the way, that were elevated to felonies because it's New York. These are misdemeanors elevated to felonies in New York. And then you have Michael Cohen, who is a convicted felon, actually. So this is huge, by the way. Fulton County, okay? They have subpoena documents related to the use of spending of federal funds. This is huge. If you used grant money to go after Trump, the case is done. And honestly, the case is probably done with this conflict of interest also. So, they tried to go ahead. They tried to take down Trump. It's not working. I don't think people really understand that he's already won this case. I really don't think that people understand he's won this case. I don't think that people understand that. Okay? People don't understand that Trump has already won this case. When you have a sprawling racketeering case against Trump and you're misusing federal funds, that's a big problem. That's a huge problem. Okay? You're misusing federal funds and there's a conflict of interest regarding the actual prosecutors. That's a huge issue, ladies and gentlemen. I don't see I don't think people really see the long-term ramifications of this because there's such a hysteria. See, getting Trump is the only thing Democrats have. It's the only thing they have. That's the only thing that gets them going. It's not like Biden's policies or the economy or foreign policy. Nobody can actually say, hey, you know what? Biden has done a lot of good things here and there. Notice how Democrats never bring up that Biden has actually achieved. Hello, Scoop. Nobody ever says, okay, nobody ever says, well, Biden did a really great job with the economy or foreign policy. And I mean, it's like they're upset. This is an obsession. This has become an absolute unmitigated obsession by Democrats to go after Trump. Now there are serious issues. And Friday, Jordan says Willis failed to comply with 2 earlier requests for documents related to federal funds. How are you going to get out of a federal subpoena? The Mueller probe didn't allow anyone. People are actually serving prison sentences now. I think it was Bannon and Navarro, and they tried to go after others. And judges in D.C., the precedent from judges in D.C., federal judges, is that there have been prison sentences for people who don't comply with federal subpoenas. So I don't get it. I mean, if you've been requested in such a manner by Congress and there's already allegations of a misuse of funds, how does this work out well for Democrats? I just don't see it. I agree, Barnes, I agree. To my super chat, thank you again. Christine, thank you. Born and raised Honks, thank you. And then the office condemned the request. No justification in the Constitution for Congress to interfere. Yes, there is. When you're using federal funds, there is. So then it's going to go to the Supreme Court. Everything's going to go to the Supreme Court. They'll take their sweet time. And if they're using federal funds, and it's also the FEC, these are federal statutes they're using. Okay? So the FEC is part of the federal government. It's not part of the state government. And all they have, listen, I watch, so you don't have to, left-leaning channels. And I mean, some of them you're like, how are they getting 500,000 views? What? So it's, okay, they're linked to MSNBC. There's something going on, whatever. It's like, all they have is Trump humiliated himself. Trump was destroyed. Trump's on the ropes. The walls are closing and the walls are closing in on Trump. It's like they're completely delusional. We had 4 years of Biden. It's been absolutely terrible. And worse than anything that took place under Trump. And actually, Trump was actually a good Trump was actually a very good president. He was a great president in terms of um, he was a great president in terms of um, the economy and foreign policy. So instead of using federal funds for the intended purpose of helping at-risk youth, your office sought to use the grant funds to get MacBooks. Okay, you can use it for travel, Jordan wrote. Moreover, the whistleblower's direct supervisor stated that these planned expenditures were part of your vision. So there you go. These allegations raise serious concerns about whether you were appropriately supervising expenditure of federal grant funding allocated to your office and whether you took actions to conceal your office unlawful use of federal funds. This case is done. It's done. The Democrats, not just here, they're using federal funding to go after Trump on a state level. You can't do that. Do you think this is the only example of grant money being used to facilitate politically motivated indictments of Trump? No, of course not. Of course not. And this is the thing, I mean, the more, if Trump actually had a Republican Party backing him, and he does with Jim Jordan, and with James Comer and others, but I mean the entire Republican Party. The entire Republican Party. I just wish that never Trumpers would see that this has nothing to do with Trump's personality. You're never again going to get okay, Nikki Haley would be indicted tomorrow by Democrats. Tomorrow they would find some way to level some charges at her, okay? Because you actually do have graft and bribery schemes going on. You have a whole bunch of other things, my God. Okay? I still think at the end of the day, whether Biden's the nominee or not, somehow, some way, I think Hillary Clinton will be opposite Trump in November. That's just something I cannot see, because a lot of the things going on, like the negative publicity or press or revelations, very likely linked to maybe a person trying to usurp Biden within the Democratic Party. Gee, who could that be? Na 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 na. Who is Hillary Clinton? So I think that is almost certainly the case. Jigsaw, hello. So this is really huge. I mean, you take out the 6 points, and here's what I don't get, okay? You have Trump, and this is how absurd these polls are. Trump is up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 polls. Okay? 8, and he's tied in one. Biden is up 1 in another poll, and then suddenly up 6. Does public opinion go from Trump up 6, up 5, to suddenly a week later Biden up 6 points? Or not even, a couple days later. It makes no sense at all. That's okay, that's why you have to focus on the aggregate, fine. But the thing is, it's like, a lot of this is just pure public relations. Oh my goodness, Biden is down by 4. He might be down by 5 points. We got to get a poll out there with him up 20 points. So suddenly that changes the aggregate. We get a poll out there that shows that he's that no PhD, hello, like we get a poll out there that shows that Biden, that the Democrats up 7 points, and suddenly the aggregate changes. Wow, that's just the most obvious overt example of public relations you've ever seen in your life. So, I mean, it's just unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. And then you have a catalyst, whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's um, hedge funds. You're at an all-time high now, and the economy, and Biden is still talking about price gouging, and there's record highs in credit card debt, which is fueling consumer spending. So, I mean, nothing is really. We're on thin ice in terms of foreign policy and economic policy. Today in history. Oh, this is interesting. Today in history, Clinton was up 3.5 points, and Biden was up 5.4 points. Which, by the way, interestingly enough, Trump was up 4.3 points. Or yeah, he was up 4.3 points the other day, and then suddenly the 6.7 point Biden poll came out. So, and then you have House Republicans are also investing in unsubstantiated allegations of improper romantic relationship. And then today, the district attorney admits the affair. Will it affect the case? Let's see. Of course it will. Could you imagine if you had two Republican prosecutors going after a former Democratic president, and not only were there issues with federal funding grants, but there were issues with improper relationships? To be absolutely clear, the personal relationship between the prosecutors is never direct or indirect financial benefit. Um, okay. It's like they want they want well, yeah, when you have a prosecutor, for example, in any type of unethical relationship, the prosecutor, oh, I don't know, might not see allegations against Trump in the same light, if perhaps he had no relationship with the district attorney. Of course it affects the the additional prosecutor's viewpoint on what's going on. It's like these relationships are they Democrats never ask for anyone on their side of the divide to recuse themselves, but you have Clarence Thomas is being asked to recuse himself because his wife agrees with Trump, God forbid. But the prosecutor should not, they shouldn't recuse this prosecutor because of a romantic relationship that was viewed as a conflict of interest. Um, there are legal scholars who have stated that these conflicts of interest completely dismantle the case. So there you go. If the prosecutor hired who was part of the romantic relationship did not have RICO any experience within RICO statute, prosecuting RICO cases, that's a big issue also. So Steve said, okay, lead kind, we read this. Said in a statement Friday, the Fulton County DA's response asks the court to turn a blind eye to her alleged personal and financial misconduct. You're not supposed to have these types of relationships when prosecuting. So adding that he believes the sole objective is to avoid evidentiary hearing. Said the DA admits to a personal relationship with Wade. She fails to provide full transparency and necessary financial details. Nothing has changed. Our requested remedy remains clear: dismiss the case and disqualify the DA together with the team in office from any related matters. Could you imagine if that takes place? Could you imagine? I mean, essentially, Trump has already won, but could you imagine? Could you imagine the Democratic Party's response? So yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. Then you have the federal government going after this as well. So this is it's a pretty huge this is a pretty huge development. Really huge development. I just don't see how this works out. I don't see how this works out at all for Dave. Hello. I just don't see how this works out. And to my viewers in the UK and Australia, everywhere around the world, thank you so very, very much. Nepal, everyone here, thank you. And across the US, thank you. So yeah, I mean, I don't see this going anywhere. Even with the best case scenario, it was going to end in 25. So this was also a way, if Trump won, which he will, Democrats were thinking, well, look, if Trump does win, at least we'll have all of these criminal trials and he'll be a convicted felon in office. And so so that's not going to happen in Georgia and Florida and D.C. Now, he'll be convicted in New York, and that'll be overturned on appeal. A lot of these cases will be overturned on appeal, whether on appeal on the state level or the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court's taking a long time to do. I mean, they should have already ruled on the. I don't know why they're waiting. I think they've essentially already ruled that Trump is eligible. Okay, but Trump has a number of major Supreme Court rulings that are going to be in his favor. Okay, major Supreme Court rulings that'll be in his favor. And so, the freak, hello. I think there's going to be major, like the 14th Amendment challenge in Colorado, that ban will be overturned. Then there'll be an immunity ruling on presidential immunity that'll essentially just dismantle the special counsel case. Because he didn't the thing is, he did not commit a crime. He performed a speech, other people committed a crime, and then they say he compelled or influenced people. or incitement of criminal activity. It's like they make really stupid leaps of logic that the Supreme Court at least will be able to. Oh, and they say that he committed a rebellion. How can you look at what took place and say Trump spearheaded a rebellion against the country? When that entire summer, and I agree with why people demonstrated peacefully, but that entire summer you had billions in property damage. You had billions of dollars in property damage. Kevin, hello. You had billions of dollars in property damage. So I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I don't know how I just don't know how there are people who say he engaged in a rebellion. Okay, there's another word for it. I'll just use a rebellion. It was an how many unarmed rebellions, or okay, one or two small arms out of thousands of people? I mean, like essentially unarmed rebellions without any second in command trying to overthrow the country. These people, like, they make this is another reason why Trump will win in 24. They make the most absurd leaps of logic, and they ignore rampant criminality on their end. They were bailing out demonstrators who committed crimes all throughout the summer. Again, I agree with why people peacefully protested that summer. I don't agree with the billions in property damage, arson, buildings torched. CNN said it's fiery but mostly peaceful. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. I think I'm going to head on out right now. I wanted to do this live stream. This was huge, huge news today. I will have a live stream tonight at around 10, maybe earlier, p.m. Eastern. So be here. 10 p.m. Eastern, ladies and gentlemen. Again, if you want to be part of a newsletter, it's contactgoodman88@gmail.com. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. To my super chat, Christine, thank you so much. Everyone here, thank you. Born to Raise Hogs, thank you so much. I appreciate all your support, everybody. And Kevin, everybody here, I will see you hopefully later this evening. DVK, everybody here, Paul, thank you so much. Scoop,